Hey guys, Legendary Grimlock here, and today we are going to be talking about what if Azula was in Game of Thrones. And yes, before anyone says anything, yes, I'm using a long sword against a bear off. Get over it. I'm trying to make this video as long as possible for literally. Dang, what the heck? Okay, y'all didn't see that. Yeah, let's begin. What if Azula was in Game of Thrones, right? So Game of Thrones is a very strategic universe, and I had to pick a strategic character. Plus, it's the game video of the day after you guys just watched Alex Straza versus Magic. So, honestly, let's really just talk about it. Now, Azula is going to have, I wouldn't say the same look as Daenerys because I don't think she would really play along with that. However, if I did have to give her something, I would probably give her her Fire Nation, except we would not give them their firebenders or their militaristic weapons. And she can have Tylee and May because she does need to be mentally stable in this series, or at least until the very end of it. So, yeah, Azula will have her firebending. She won't have firebenders in her armies. She'll have regular soldiers. They won't have their militaristic weapons. They'll have pretty much their kingdom, but Azula is pretty much ruling it, okay? So, but, she'll have her friends Tylee and May along with it as well. So, yeah. Let's really begin here. Now, in terms of enemies, Jesus. That's probably one of the biggest things in Game of Thrones, honestly. Because you guys got to think about it. You have the Lannisters, you have the Targaryens, you have the Starks, you have the Baratheons, you have the Greyjoys, you have the what was the one that the guy that tortured Ramsay? The Boltons. Okay, the Boltons. The Boltons as well. So Azula could have enemies from all sides, or she could have allies from all sides. So it's honestly a 50-50. But let's be real, nobody's a true ally to each other in the Game of Thrones universe. That's just kind of how it is. It's kind of how it's always been, honestly. And there's really nothing, you could really do about it except, play the game. You play the Game of Thrones and you just hope that you win. And Azula is actually is a very good strategist, honestly. She's able to place herself, May and Tylee, in the Earth Kingdom. She's able to place Fire Nations in the Earth Kingdom, and was able to successfully dethrone King Boomy, albeit I think he allowed it. I don't really remember it too much. But yeah, Azula is a very good strategist, especially if she's able to infiltrate and just take over a kingdom without anybody really noticing or getting a full grasp on it, and even being able to remove people and hypnotize them into into thinking that there's nothing wrong in there. There's no Fire Nation in their kingdom, and I think that could work out as well. Or people who think that the Fire Nation is in their kingdom are just immediately executed. They're taken in and for like committing what's the word I'm looking for? Misspread of information or, public terrorism, and then boom, they're executed. So, yeah, I think Azula could definitely get a hang of it, and I do think Azula will be able to do this along with Tylee and May, being able to infiltrate and exploit every kingdom that he has. So, in all honesty, yeah. I definitely gotta say here that Azula can definitely take over and definitely exploit a lot of kingdoms here. However, I do think the most likely kingdom she's going to try to do that to is either the Lannisters or the Targaryens. Now, the only thing I don't think she'll do with Daenerys is probably do the exploitation, or probably like do it slowly. Because here's the thing, you still got to worry about Daenerys and her dragons. You can't really work your way up the hierarchy if, someone has just a bigger power than you. So I think that Azula would definitely take a much more direct or more hands-on approach with Dany. Okay, I do think that Azula would definitely take a much more hands-on approach with Daenerys here, and I think she would kind of like, worm her way, definitely smooth talk her, if you will. And I do think that she would probably prove her worth here by blasting her with fire. Now, sure, I think Drogon would be a little bit pissed off about it. But if she can't burn to Dragonfire, which has a much more devastating attack potency, and yeah, I'm definitely saying the attack potency because Drogon fully grown is around. Well, sorry, Drogon by the end of season, what was it, 7? Was easily able to burn down King's Landing, or at least burn down a good portion of it. And this fire was also explosive on impact. So he has around city level to city, or at low end city block attack potency. With him being at fully grown size, which is basically the same size as Balerion, by the way, he should be around city level. Okay, so just a little scaling for you guys out there. Drogon should be around city level, and Azula should be comparable to that as well. Now, in terms of how she would probably, if they would be allies or not, I do think Daenerys would definitely see a bigger value in having Azula as an ally rather than an enemy. Plus, I do think depending on the way she catches Dany might see the value in having her on their side due to her ships. Now, I do think, despite the fact I didn't get the Fire Nation their regular, equipment, I do think they would have been able to build the same ships and use their resources, the resources of taking over other kingdoms and maybe even melting, coins, metal, maybe even scorpion arrows into their ships. Okay? Because I do think that the Fire Nation definitely had the best firepower when it came to aquatic combat and definitely ship combat. So Daenerys definitely is going to see the value in having them as allies due to their ships here. And Azula is going to see her basically benefiting from her with the dragons. I mean, she knows she can't control them because I do think Azula, or if not her, Mai would have definitely researched that only Targaryens could control the dragons, so they would have been at least smart enough to do something, wise and smart about it, So in all honesty, I do see that her and Daenerys would definitely be allies. Now, as for the Lannisters, it'd be very interesting because it's basically like two snakes of like different races. Someone's gonna bite somebody eventually. Only thing is, a snake is it just depends on who's the bigger snake here. Now, in terms of, if she can play her cards right, if Azula really decide to rage war with the Lannisters, who gonna really stop them? The Lannisters actually have the worst army in Game of Thrones history. Now you might say legendary. Why do you say that, right? Well, here's my thing, right? The Lannisters have the worst army in all the kingdoms. Now you might say, oh well, they they've been able to win a couple battles, and Robb Stark was still losing the war. Robb Stark never lost the battle, but he was just kind of losing, I guess, just losing the war in general because he didn't have anything that Tywin would want, and the fact that his mother really just gave up their best bargaining chip like a dummy is really just something entirely like, really, Catherine? You need to be slapped in the face for that. I can't believe she even did that in the first place, because how do you lose your own bargaining chip because your own mother straight up gave it away out of some emotional need? No, we at war. This is not the time for this nonsense. But anyway, I digress. The Lannister army is literally known as one of the worst armies in the kingdom. This is even said by Tyrion Lannister, and he was actually conversating with one of the Dothraki on the fact that his people suck. They can't fight. They're not really true soldiers, if you will, As a matter of fact, they wouldn't even qualify as, soldiers, due to the sheer fact that these guys kind of just, it's kind of like swinging your sword around and hoping that it hits, Ooh, excuse me. That's basically what the Lannisters are. They kind of just swing their swords around and just hope that it hits. And if it doesn't hit, well, then, you're pretty much screwed. Now, compare that to Azula's Fire Nation, entirety, all right? Even the firebenders, unfortunately, they're not here, but let's just compare the soldiers. These guys are still able to conquer kingdoms, still known as one of the most dangerous kingdoms in the world. The Fire Nation forever is still known as one of the most dangerous kingdoms in the world. It doesn't even matter. You needed the Avatar to stop them. Like, really? Like, it's always up to an Avatar to stop some rogue kingdom from going out of pocket and out of line. It never made sense that any army that couldn't match them. You know, these guys were conquering the Earth Kingdom like it was nothing. And the Earth Kingdom is actually one of the stronger kingdoms. Ooh, I think that was my dog's toy. It is actually one of the stronger kingdoms in the Avatar world. So in all honesty, yeah, that does not look, you know, it don't look suitable at all. You know, if these guys are conquering kingdoms that should be stronger than them, that says a lot here. And you might say, oh, well, she'll keep the Lancers around for wealth. What's to stop her from taking it? Like, literally, what is to stop Azula from strategically taking it? She could send Tylee or May. I think May is definitely the deadliest because she'll actually just throw a blade at you and be done with it. You know, she'll throw a blade and be done with it. And, you know, let's say she's able to strategically gain money and wealth from the Lannisters, right? Azula's going to use that to fund her army. Maybe even give some to the Targaryens. And then she's going to exploit it down the line. Now, what about marriages? Because that has been a big thing in Game of Thrones, right? What if she decides to marry someone? Well, there are very few characters I could honestly see her marrying. And it's, again, very few. Probably none. You know? I think if Tywin is still on the throne, he'll probably try to marry her to Jaime. But again, I don't think Azula's that much of a fool to do that because she understands the power play here that a Lannister is going to be sitting on her throne when it's all said and done. Okay? So when it comes down to it, I really just... I don't really see her marrying anyone she doesn't want. I do think she would probably get married eventually, but I don't really see her marrying anyone she doesn't want for the sake of, you know, oh, uniting the kingdoms and being proper allies. No, Azula don't roll like that. She'll burn you, she'll burn you, she'll burn you. If she keeps you, she keeps you. I mean, geez, it's not even, you know, it's not really, it's not too fair, you know, it's just the sheer fact that Azula just really don't care, you know. In all honesty, if I had to pick if she wins, it definitely depends though. Because if she portrays Daenerys, she probably doesn't have a chance at winning. And if she wants the throne, she doesn't even have a chance at winning again. Because Daenerys wants the throne for herself as well. So in all honesty, Azula's chances of winning are kind of slim. Especially if she, you know, has to compete with Daenerys for the throne. And I love these two. Thank you. But anyway, you guys, let me know what y'all think down below. Does she win or does she lose? Please comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.